Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you how I made this little treat box. This little treat box for Valentine's Day holds 3 Ferrero Rocher chocolates and has a wraparound closure and is decorated with the materials for Valentine's Day. And I used, what I'm using today is some real red cardstock for my box base, and this piece is 7 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Then I'm using some DSP. This is from the Sending Love Designer Series paper stack, and in this particular package I'm just about out. Let's see, I think I have a full one here. Where did I put it? That I could show you the papers. Here it is. There's the paper I'm using today, Love in Many Languages. And then every piece has a different design on the back. And there are just a lot of different designs in here, and they're all just gorgeous. And if you've watched any of my other videos, I've used several different ones on different projects. And so, the other thing that I'm using is I'm using the stamp set called Sealed with Love. This is in the New Occasions catalog. This particular set has 27 stamps in it, and today I'm using this tiny little one here that says Sent with Love, and that's all of the stamps that'll be used out of here. In addition, I'm using the Framelit dies, Love Notes Framelit dies, and this set comes together as a bundle. This die set has 14 dies and all kinds of really pretty ones. And again, if you've watched any of my other videos on Valentine's cards, I've used an awful lot of them, and I used those dies to cut out these articulated hearts and the hearts here in the center. The one thing that I'm going to do differently is that on this box, in order to open it, you have to push from one side and pull from the other. And so I'm going to add a little pull so it's very easy to pull open. And I'm going to do both of the hearts on the top of this one in red. So here's again what we need, our piece of paper. And so let me get my scoreboard out here, and we'll just score our papers. And on this piece of cardstock, let me make sure you can see all that. You can. Okay, I'm going to score that at 1 1/4 inches all the way around. So 1 1/4 inches on all 4 sides. And this is going to be the base of our box. So there we go, 1 1/4 inches, and that's all there is to that. Now on our Designer Series paper, on the long side is where we're going to do our scoring on this. And on this, I'm going to score at 1 1/8. And again, this is Designer Series paper, so you don't want to use a heavy hand here. 1 1/8, 2 3/8, 3 5/8, and 4 7/8. And those are the score marks that you need to get your wraparound for the box. And that's all there is to that. Let me see, let me put this scoreboard away. And we can get started on our little box. The cutting that we'll be doing on this box is just the normal box construction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up the score lines on the ends here, and I'm going to notch these flaps on either side, and then I'm going to turn this around and we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. Okay, so cut straight up the score line here on both sides, and then we're going to notch here. And there's just one other piece that I'm going to do on this little box base. I found in closing it, it requires one more little cut, and I'm going to take about 1/8 of an inch off of each of these flaps here. Have a tendency to cross over each other, and you just don't need that much paper. So I'm going to cut those off there. All right, so that's what we should have for our box. All right, and there's no cutting to do on this piece at all. So the next thing I'm going to do is add that piece of ribbon, and what I have is some of this pretty 1/8 of an inch ribbon out of the catalog, out of the main catalog, that is gold with a little bit of white on it, and you don't need very much, just a snippet. It can't be even, yeah, a little less than 2 inches is more than enough. And I'm going to use my 1/8 of an inch punch here, and I'm going to punch a hole as close to the center here as my eye tells me it is. And then I'm going to push this little piece of ribbon from the back side through. I think I'll use my tweezers to do that. And push that little piece of ribbon through and pull it through on this side. There we go. That's probably enough of a pull right there. Let me straighten that out a little bit. There we go. And what I'm going to do is put down a tiny bit of fuse right here on either side of that ribbon. Fuse and I are not getting along today. Okay, so a little bit of fuse there. And what I'm going to do is glue that ribbon right onto that fuse to hold it in place. Okay, now we need to fold and burnish our score lines here. So a nice burnish and fold. It's a very fast little project, and it really is kind of a fun one to get a little surprise. I don't know you, but I am a sucker for a bit of chocolate, and I love Ferrero Rochers. So I decided to make a little treat box here. Okay, there we go. So now what I need is my silicone mat, which I don't see. Can't be far, I was just using it. Isn't that something? It's gone. Okay, well, I'm going to put some fuse on these flaps here on both sides. I'll just be very careful. And some on this side, and this last flap here. All right, and then we'll just close up our box the way we would ordinarily, marrying this score line to the cut line and getting a nice crisp corner. And we'll do that a couple more times here. And get our box put together. I've got the flaps a little confused here. All right, there we go. And there we go. We have our little box bottom done. And we have some more of the Ferrero Rochers here. So we will put our treats in here. And I think you'll see they fit in here perfectly. All right. The next thing we have to do, and we have our little pull tag here. And it's in there nice and secure. All right. So we have some score lines on this piece. And let's see, need to be gently burnished. So I am going to fold these and just gently burnish them because I don't want my paper to tear. Although I've had pretty good luck with this designer series paper. Some designer series papers are more delicate. This stuff seems to be pretty strong. So there I have my little folds burnished. And what I'm going to do is take my box with my treats, because it's better when it's full to get the closures around. And you can see here my burnished lines allow me to close my my box, my outer box, this way. And what I want to do is make it loose enough so that it's easy to pull the inner box out. Okay, so now I have my surround on here, and if I've done this right, this little box will slide open and close shut, and my little handle here makes that easy to do. So the next thing we have to do is decorate the top of our box. So what I've done is using dies from this Framelits set, I have cut out these little red articulated hearts, and I'm going to show you these up close. These hearts are great. They have this outer piece that frames the heart, and right here in the center, I think you can see that, there are some score lines. So you can actually fold this little heart up on either side of the score lines to get the dimension of the fold. And on the back side, what you end up with is a little piece of cardstock here that will let you put some glue on it to secure this little frame down. So I thought that was it's very clever. And so what I have is this piece here, these two articulated hearts, and I'm going to fold those up. And then I have some little red hearts, or hearts cut out of some of the designer series paper. And then we need a piece of Whisper White here, and our little stamp that says sent with love, and red ink. And I'm going to put my stamp right here along the bottom. There we go, sent with love, and close up my ink. And I'm using this word window punch. And what I did here was I cut out the word window punch so that it had this kind of in the center here. And then I used this end to stick it back in to create the back side of my banner. tail. And so there we have our Sent with Love banner. Okay, and that's all I need that punch for. And then on this one, I put just a little square of scrap here, red. I must have cut it from something a little bit larger than that. But all I need is a little piece that's, I think I made it 3/4 of an inch. And so I'm just going to cut 3/4 of an inch off the end of this little piece of scrap. And this measures about, I would say, right under 1.5 inches long. And what I did was I found my silicone mat. I used a little bit of snail on the back of this little banner, and I put it on here kind of across it a little bit, and then I used a couple of dimensionals on the back of this little red piece, and set that in the center, and then it helped me figure out where my little hearts needed to go. So if I set this in the center, and it doesn't have to be centered, I just wanted it mostly in the middle. There we go. And then on these little hearts, what you can do, what I did was I used a little bit of Tombow around this edge that gets created in the back and around the frame here, and set those down. Let's see, where are my tweezers? I want to set that down so that it's just a tiny bit off the edge of the box. You can just feel the edge with your finger. And I wanted to get these set down. And I'll hold that in place for just a second. Let Tombow get a grip. And then do the same thing with this second little heart. Again, along the spine and the border. And get that one put into place on this side. And then these little hearts, because that still looked a little plain to me, I folded these little hearts right in half, and I put a little bit of Tombow along the back edge of that, and I set it in place in the middle of this articulated heart there, and the same on this side. Now this one I ended up cutting from a different piece of DSP, but it's close enough. These are all so close as far as their amount of red and white that it didn't matter, I don't think. And you could certainly cut it out of this same DSP that you're using on the box. But I thought that dressed it up a little bit. And then on this one, I also wanted to add a little bit of bling just to finish it. And so I'm going to add a rhinestone on this end of my little square and one on this end of my little square. And there we have our little treat box, our project for the day. And it really is a pretty fast little treat box. And I do like the addition of the pull so that I can pull that easily in and out without any straining. And there you go. There you have it. A couple of versions of that. It'd be very cute for a child, for a coworker, for just about anybody. So that's our project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by and visiting my YouTube channel. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And you can purchase any of the items here on my website, lbedinger.stampinup.net. And my prize draw for the month of January, in the new occasions catalog, we have those wonderful watercolor pencils. In fact, I'm going to grab them so that I can show you what they look like. My prize draw is a set of these watercolor pencils that come in all of these great colors here. In fact, this package hasn't been opened up. There we go. I want to show you here. Here they are, and they're just wonderful to work with. I have another package of them that I've been working with, and then included in my prize draw is a set of the Aqua Painters. And I think that makes a good combination with the watercolor pencils to work with them. So that is the prize draw for January. Excuse me. And anybody who puts in an order with me during the month of January, their name goes into the hat to get the prize draw. And anybody ordering $25 or more on my website gets either a product gift for me or a gift that I've made. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.